Hello everybody! It is episode 1 of the PinkStoneThreads Yarny podcast. I've done an episode 0 previously at the beginning of this year, and let's just say some stuff happened, and here we are, 1st of December, on a very dreary day. So I've got my little afternoon tea pick me up, and I lit a candle, so hopefully this dreary light, will bring in some warmth to it. Definitely looking forward to more sunlight hours in the day because it's midday and it's this dark in my house. So, But anyways, I just want to give a warm welcome to everyone. My name's Abigail. I'm so glad that you're here. And let's get into our little yarny business here. So this is not going to be a usual podcast because nothing about this year has been usual for me in particular. And I think a lot of people have experienced that too. So in between my last episode and this episode, quite a lot has happened, and mostly just my apartment building burned down in mid-April, and we had to move 3 or 4 places afterwards until we actually landed here, and it has been quite a journey. So I did want to just kind of start out the podcast by reflecting on my experience, how I've dealt with it, what it meant for my knitting and crocheting and crafting, and what it meant for my Etsy business. Basically what happened was the fire started at the other end of the building. It was a building of 24 units. No one was hurt, thankfully, although unfortunately several people lost their pets, which is horrendous. I'll try to pop up a photo now of the aftermath. Basically, my partner Chris and I were woken up about 1 a.m. by knocking on the door and yelling outside of our apartment, outside of our door. Initially, I kind of brushed it off. Then I finally heard the fire alarm in the hallway, which was very faint, unfortunately. I've heard the fire alarm, still didn't take it seriously. Then I got up, saw that there was an orange glow outside the window, not unlike that orange glow, and peeked out and realized, wow, this is a real fire. This is a serious situation. So quickly, from the point that we realized there was a fire, really from the point we woke up, we had about 2 minutes to get out of our apartment. So we raced around, put shoes on. I grabbed our cats and put them in their carriers. At that time we had 2 cats, Simba and Fiona. Put them in their carriers, put blankets over the carriers so the cats wouldn't be too overwhelmed by the scene outside. Shoes. Chris grabbed his wallet and my engagement ring, which is another big news, but we'll get to that. And we grabbed coats, and we had a file box of all of our important files, so we grabbed that as well. And in about 2 minutes, we were out the door, running into the parking lot, seeing this 20, 30, 40-foot blaze coming out of that side of the building. Basically at that point, I would say 2 entire units, the second floor and the 3rd floor, were completely up in flames, and it was to the roof at that point. So we got out before the fire department even showed up, and that was the last time that we ever set foot in our apartment. It's a lot to go over, but I think it's important to share this information with you, just because it's one of those things that can happen to anyone at any point in time, and you never think about it happening to you. I mean, we had a plan that we executed perfectly, thankfully. Our plan was to get our cats out, to get shoes and get our files and get out of there. But it's so important to have a plan, first off. And it's so important to have renter's insurance if you're renting, or homeowner's insurance if you own your home. That can be the difference. That would have been the difference between us being, you know, having a place to stay or being homeless at that point. So highly recommend, first off, have a plan, and second, have insurance. So thankfully we did have insurance. They put us up in a hotel. We did stay one night at my partner's parents' house, but after that, the insurance company put us up at a hotel for about, I believe it was 6 weeks. 4 to 6 weeks we lived in a hotel, and we were able to get, I would say probably in total about half or 2/3 of our stuff out, minus furniture. We didn't get any of our furniture out. But when it comes to those other personal items, I would say we were lucky. We were probably the luckiest people in the building because we were completely on the other side of the building. And I would say, so we got half to 2/3 of our personal items out. But some things that didn't make it out were pretty much all of my ready-made Etsy products that I had spent hours and days making, as well as probably 2/3 to half of my yarn stash. And as a maker, you guys know, you rely a lot on your craft in high pressure, stressful circumstances. And if you hear a cat yelling, that's my cat. He's okay. He's just dramatic. He would want me to let him into the room. But of course, being a knitter, not having any knitting in that kind of moment, I felt very lost, and it was much more than losing my knitting. You know, the day of the fire, we didn't think we would ever be able to get any of our stuff. We were told that by several people. So, and my mom had passed away when I was 11 years old, and all of her stuff that I had, and really all of her stuff that my entire nuclear family had, was in that apartment at that point. So that would have been her wedding dress, all of the photo albums, pictures of her clothing, anything that I have as a memento that she'd ever touched or owned. I was at the brink of losing that. And in the end, I did probably lose 1/5 to 2/5 of her stuff. But I'm glad that I'm lucky because we got some items out, and that's really what's important. And what's important is that we got our lives and our cats, and that we also had a second chance, which some other families in the building didn't have insurance, and so they really have to rely on the help of others, and through no fault of their own, have to deal with losing their home and losing all of their stuff. Altogether, my point being, you never know what life is going to deal you, and it dealt us a really hard card. So I definitely didn't accomplish most of the goals that I had for 2021, especially for my business and for my making. But it's important to know that you can give yourself a break. When bad things happen, sometimes you have to reevaluate your goals and what you really want out of your creative process and your making. I think a lot of times, a lot of knitters can put a lot of pressure on themselves to do X, Y, and Z in this time period and feel bad if they don't accomplish that. But when it comes down to it, making is supposed to be a really meaningful personal activity, and you've set your own pace and you can reset it. So I think that's something important to reconsider as we approach the end of the year and there's a lot of pressure to finish up projects or to start projects or to finish presents. It's important to recognize that, you know, life intervenes and you never know what the cards are going to deal with you, so it's important to live in the present moment. So that's that on that. But in good news, I am engaged. We've been engaged for we've been engaged for 2 years now. But we only recently made our announcement, just because of everything going on in the world. We didn't want to take away attention from the serious issues at hand. And we also kind of, I wouldn't say it's selfishly, but we wanted people to be able to feel happiness for us. And it's hard to do that in the middle of a global pandemic before we had any help or any answers. So yeah, we're engaged, and of course my knitting mind and my knitting fingers are itching to start all the projects for our wedding. That's going to be next year, and I have a lot of ideas, so I'll probably be getting into that in future episodes, but just wanted to give you all not an explanation, but just this is where I've been this year, and hello, welcome back. So let's get into the knitting, shall we? So needless to say, I've been busy. There's just something about knitting washcloths that helps you come to an understanding of your subconscious. It's almost like a meditative exercise, and I love to do it when I need to figure things out. So that stack has been probably all within the last month, and it's very thick. My partner Chris said it could probably take a bullet, and you know, I'm glad I did it, because on the one hand I wanted to get some of my washcloth cotton yarn out of my stash, and they make excellent gifts, and it's just a nice meditative, soothing process to kind of come back to terms with your creating and what you're doing. So that's just I believe this, I forget what this pattern is called exactly. I think Granny's washcloth classic. I will try to link it below, but it's basically knit 2, increase 1, knit across until you get to, I do 40, but you can really do as many increases as you want, and then you knit 1, decrease, yarn over, decrease, and knit across. So got lots of these. And as you can see with my new little sock wall, which I talk about in day 1 of Vlogmas, this fun little sock wall. So each one has a different emotion or mood on the little laundry pin that holds it to the wall. And I can wear a different sock based on what I want to feel or want to cultivate, like patience, joy, love, luck, so lots of different things, just to take that, you know, 20 seconds of putting on socks per day to kind of set my tone for the day and be more intentional. But most of these socks, well actually all of these socks have been created this year, but I would say I'm just gonna update you guys on 3 pairs of them. All right, so these are my stand socks. I call them stand because they kind of remind me of grass, and there's a calming sort of insistent power about them that makes me want to stand up for myself and stand for the things that I believe in, such as the environment and other things. But this is just a basic vanilla sock. I follow the video tutorial by the Crazy Sock Lady, and now I've just memorized it. So I think I do for myself about 64 stitches to cast on, maybe even 60. I have very kind of small feet. So yes. And the yarn is Meant to Be by Pax Fibers, which I love. And then I've lost the tag for this green one, but I'll try to find it, and if I do, I will link it below. But that is first pair of socks. And I still have quite a bit of Meant to Be. And I also still have quite a bit of the green, and I used only 300 gram skeins for 3 different socks. So I've combined all these 3 for all of these socks in different ways. And it was fun to kind of just experiment with that and kind of see the different ways that the colors and the variations in the speckles can work together. So those were my first socks. And fun fact, this Meant to Be, it actually made it out of the fire, and it was my only hand-dyed yarn that actually did make it out of the fire, so it's very special to me. And so I'll definitely have to use it in another special project. So the second pair of socks I did is made out of a pink speckled yarn, which I also lost the tag to, but I'll try to find it. Yeah, don't remember what it was called, and then I have that green, also don't remember, but I'll try to link it below. But I think these turned out really nicely. And I still did just vanilla socks, but instead of doing a regular cuff, I just did knit 3 purl 1 to get kind of that stretchy fabric, kind of that cuff effect throughout the sock. So I did that so I could fold it over at the top. And then I continued with the knit 3 purl 1 on the top of the sock, and then I just did regular stockinette for the bottom of the sock. And I'm very happy with these socks. I call these love, particularly giving love. So that's what they are on the little pegboard. But yeah, they make me happy and feel cozy, so I like to wear them. Okay, and then the last sock I'm sharing, I call them my Monet socks because they kind of remind me of the water lilies, because I used 2 speckled yarns and they ended up working out really well together. So I used Meant to Be and then that pink yarn, but I just did every other row, and it's really interesting to see how all of the colors work together. And having 2 different hand dyers do 2 different skeins, and how wonderfully that still work together. And then I just used the Meant to Be for the cuff and the heel. This is a medium sock blocker, but I probably need a small one for my feet. So that's why it doesn't quite fit on here. It's really stretching, but yeah. And I just did a regular vanilla sock. And I'm happy with how all these color combos ended up working out, and I probably have yarn enough to do even 1 more pair for myself. But it's cool to see, you know, that there are so many different ways that you can work with color and work with your yarn stash to come up with some really cool different designs and different ideas. So those are all part of my emotions board. And this last pair I called Receive, because I think it's kind of love, semicolon, receive, because it can be really hard to accept love into your life. And I think just the two different colors working together so harmoniously just kind of reminds me that, you know, you have to give love, but you also have to receive it. So all of those will be going back on my little sock board there. And I'm gonna say that's it for finished objects. And the only work in progress I have is one of my Baby Yoda scarf sets. So I'm working on that right now, but that's kind of something that I do periodically throughout the year, so it doesn't really feel like a new project. But some other things I'll share is that I got a project bag, my very first project bag, from my partner Chris for my birthday back in August. And this one is by April 9 Designs. So it's little caravans and little camp scenes. So you have your moon and some coffee or hot chocolate and a tree and a little campfire. And then also the zipper has a charm of a caravan. So I thought that was very, very cool. So I really have enjoyed this bag. It also has a little ruler ribbon inside of it. And it has a little Made in America tag. And it also has pockets and a box bottom, so it sits really nicely. So I'm very happy to use this. I just need to make sure to clean it out in between projects so it just doesn't become kind of a storage bin. So I wanted to share that with you. And then he also gave me a second project bag, and I don't actually remember the name of the shop, so I'll have to link that below. But a very cool little witchy fall pink, black and white. And then the zipper also has a cool little cauldron charm. So I really enjoyed that. And then it has just some gray and white stripes. So box bottom as well. Also really like this bag. Now for Happy Mail, I also have a Knit Picks order coming soon, although I did order during their whole sale, so we'll see when that actually comes out. Comes to my house, we'll see. But I ordered some more Pax Fibers, so she is the one who did the Mint to Be that I've been using, and she was having a post-Halloween sale. So I wanted to just kind of look at what she had, and I fell in love with a couple skeins of sock yarn. So this is Fingering, and it's pink and purple, and here's her label. I don't know if it'll focus, but this one is called State for Sunset, and it's 100 grams, 75 superwash merino and 25% nylon. But it's got some really nice color variation, and I'm excited to see, you know, how it works up. Look at that, gorgeous. And then I also got another Christmas present for myself, early Christmas. This one is called Stone Cold, and it has all sorts of blues and gray. And it's a fingering yarn. Again, 75/25. And I'm very excited to see how this one works up too. I really enjoy her yarns because I feel like they're so creatively dyed that you never are sure how they're going to work up and how all the colors are gonna work together, which I'm sure that's you know, that's the whole point of getting hand-dyed yarn is kind of that unique hand-tailored process. And that's sort of the whole point of getting hand-dyed yarn, is that you get a full experience, and it's exciting and really kind of stimulates your creativity and makes you try different color combinations like I did with my 3 socks. So I'm excited to see what I'll do with those and how they'll work up. But as part of her Halloween sale, she gave out a free skein to the first 2 people who ordered for her Halloween sale, her post-Halloween sale. And so I got this free rainbow yarn with Selena. Look at all those gorgeous colors. Like, this is one of the skeins that I kind of don't even want to roll into a ball because it's just so gorgeous in the hank. Like, ooh. It's delightful. Like, each of these rolls is just an experience. So I'm excited to use this, but also it looks beautiful in the hank. So we'll see. Thank you all for joining me today and for hearing about my knitting and crochet. You can find me on Instagram for my latest projects and all my happy mail and different things on Instagram as PinkStoneThreads, and I'm also on Etsy. And here's my YouTube channel if you're interested in seeing more or in participating in my Vlogmas. Definitely check out my channel. I should have my Vlogmas Day 1 up today, so check it out, and I'll tell you more about my little sock decoration. So thank you so much for joining, and happy holidays.